15 Things You Didn't Know About Claude Monet. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Hello there, Aluxers. Thank you for joining us for another deep dive into something we think you should all know about. We've covered countries, we've covered brands, we've covered famous entrepreneurs and celebrities, and now it's time to cover another shining light in the world of classic art, Claude Monet. Born in Paris, France on November 14, 1840, Monet was a painter who is celebrated as being the founder of the French impressionist movement. In a lifelong career, Monet is perhaps best known for his series of water lilies paintings that consumed more than 20 years of his professionally creative life. But there is much more to this genius artist than the water lilies that we have come to know and love. Are you ready to learn more about the founding father of Impressionism? If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Alux. Let's take a look at 15 things you didn't know about Claude Monet. Number 1. He served in the military because he refused to give up painting. In 1861, Monet was called upon for French national service in the Chasseurs d'Afrique, or the 1st Regiment of African Light Cavalry, and was posted to Algeria. As was custom at the time, Monet's wealthy father could have purchased him out of the draft, but refused to do so after Monet refused to abandon his art. Number 2. He was a founding father of the Impressionist art movement. The Impressionist art movement spanned the latter years of the 19th century, but it is a distinct style that lives today. Although there were a number of artists following the plein air landscape painting concept at the same time, it was Monet's work entitled Impression that galvanized the genre and gave it its name. Number 3. He liked to paint the same subject many times. Monet liked simple subjects, and to him, the joy was seeing them in the amazing spectrum of light and color that nature produced. He painted his subject over and over at different times of the day and different times of the year. The subjects of his series included haystacks, poplars, Rouen Cathedral, water lilies, and mornings on the Seine. Number 4. Like practically every artist, he went through a penniless period. In the mid-1800s, the place an artist's work needed to be seen in France was at the Salon de Paris. Exposure by the Académie des Beaux-Arts was a great importance to an artist's success. Although the Salon showed La Femme à la Robe Verte, the Academy was not very accepting of work by Monet and his fellow Impressionists. Their dislike of his artistic movement resulted in a period of extreme poverty for Monet and his wife Camille, the subject of La Femme à la Robe. Number 5. The highest price paid for a Monet painting is $81.4 million. The world record price for a Monet painting was achieved when one of his moules, or haystack paintings, was sold at auction in September 2016. Remarkably, even though Monet is the most well-known Impressionist painter, his most expensive painting is only 50th on the list of most expensive paintings ever, because the list is adjusted for inflation. The highest Monet painting in the list is at number 42 and is Le Bassin en Nymphéa, the water lily pond, one of his lily series, which was sold by Christie's in 2008. It sold for $80.5 million, but when adjusted for inflation, brings the value up to $89.6 million. Like many of the world's absolute greatest artists, much of Monet's work is in museum collections and rarely comes up for sale. However, the price achieved for Le Bassin en Nymphéa is remarkable, considering it measures just 100 by 300 centimeters. Number 6. 2 of Monet's paintings are subject to an international legal battle. The Philippine government is seeking the return of 2 Monet paintings it claims were acquired with the nation's funds when Ferdinand Marcos was dictator. They claim a former aide to Imelda Marcos, one Vilma Bautista, sold L'Église de Vautoy and Le Bassin en Nymphéa, yet never had the chance to pass the proceeds on to Marcos. Number 7. His first name was actually Oscar. Though the name Claude Monet rings loud and clear in the ears of all art lovers and historians across the world, Monet's given birth name was actually Oscar. The newborn was baptized as the double-barreled Oscar Claude, the reason being that it avoided much confusion in the household as his father was also named Claude. His parents always called him Oscar, but the world would definitely remember him as Claude. Number 8. Giverny was his home and inspiration. Monet lived in the village of Giverny in Normandy for 43 years, and the stunning surroundings of the French town served as inspiration for many of his famous works. Though monetary figures for the property and land that was purchased remain vague, we do know that the estate was left to Monet's son Michel when he passed away in 1926. When Michel died heirless in 1966, the estate fell into the hands of the Académie des Beaux-Arts and was restored to its former glory. It now operates as a tourist attraction, enticing more than 500,000 visitors per year. Number 9. He made an early mark drawing caricatures. We all know that his impressionist style is what history remembers him for, but did you know that as a child, Monet was lauded and celebrated for being a talented caricaturist? As you might expect, he was already showing signs of extreme talent by 5 years old, and while a student at Les Havre Secondary School of the Arts, he became popular for creating charcoal caricatures of all of his teachers. He filled notebooks with his fun drawings and even started to turn his talents to the town residents. Number 10. Some of his works were once stolen from a Dutch museum. They say that you can't be proclaimed a true art master until someone has stolen your work, and Monet makes the grade on this front thanks to an art heist in the Netherlands in 2012. On a Tuesday morning in October, thieves went to work in the Constal Museum to steal Waterloo Bridge by Monet and Tête d'Arlequin by Pablo Picasso. This robbery marked the biggest art theft in the Netherlands since 20 works of art were stolen from the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam in 1991. The case was solved in 2013 when the thieves were arrested in Romania, and sadly the traces of the lost paintings were found in a fireplace. You can learn more about the artist whose work was stolen alongside Monet's, Pablo Picasso, by watching our dedicated video. Just click in the top right-hand corner. Number 11. His family wanted him to be a greengrocer. If young Claude would have followed the wishes of his family, the world of art would be very different from how we perceive it now. As a young man starting to make his own way in the world, Monet's father implored him to enjoy a stable career by joining the family grocery business. Thankfully, his mother recognized his talent from an early age and always supported him in his artistic endeavors. Number 12. He painted his wife on her deathbed. Sadly, Monet's marriage to wife Camille was cut tragically short when she died of cancer at the age of 32. Very much a man whose art filled every aspect of his life, Monet was compelled to paint an image of Camille in the final days of her struggle. Simply titled Camille Monet on her deathbed, the painting now rests at the Musée d'Orsay in Paris and is widely considered as one of the most intense pieces of artwork ever made. Number 13. He suffered from cataracts in his old age. Like many elderly people across the world, Monet became affected by cataracts in his eyes in his later life. He continued painting during this time, and interestingly, you can actually see the progression of how the ailment affected his work in the way that red tones begin to take over and objects start to become more and more blurry, just as he would have seen them. Some also argue that Monet's strong use of color in these later days were an indicator of the fact that he was using his memory rather than his failing eyesight. The Japanese bridge is a perfect example of this. Number 14. He didn't just paint water lilies, he also planted them. Monet's The Water Lilies series is arguably the most iconic set of works, but did you know that rather than simply coming across the site and finding inspiration, he essentially cultivated it for himself? After buying his Giverny land in 1893, the artist set about building a Japanese-style garden space, complete with a glass-walled studio on the side. This setup gave him the perfect vantage point and natural beauty surroundings to create the work that he is perhaps best known for. Number 15. He was greatly influenced by Japanese art. In contrast to many of his artist peers who took their inspiration and guidance from past European masters, Monet looked to Japan not only for his gardening inspiration, but for his artistic inspiration too. Take a look at woodcuts by Hiroshige. Do they seem familiar to you? The close detail of things like wisteria blossoms, the arched bridge, and the way that the image centers around water are all very indicative to the Water Lilies series. So there you have it, 15 interesting facts about one of the greatest artists the world has ever known. Are you a fan of Claude Monet? Do you have a particular favorite of his works? Let us know down in the comments. And here's one final fact for staying with us all the way to the end. Number 16. You can take a virtual visit to Monet's Water Lilies. Did you know that Monet designed a special room specifically for people to be able to experience his Water Lilies series in the way he had intended? The room is located in the Orangerie Museum in Paris, and thanks to a fantastic collaboration with Google Street View, anyone with access to the internet can make a virtual visit to the room and witness the masterpieces in all their glory. Thank you for spending some time with us, Aluxer. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. If you want more, we handpicked these videos you might enjoy, or head over to Alux.com for the best in fine living content on the planet. Be a part of the largest community of luxury enthusiasts in the world and tell your story.